I will move from that to a more specific topic with Dr. Azzurra Rinaldi. Since Dr. Azzurra Rinaldi is both an expert on gender and on economics, I would like to address questions that have to do with the relations between women empowerment and economic development, as well as between women empowerment and policy making role. My first question is to Dr. Rinaldi. How does investing in economic development in emerging or developing economies of the Mediterranean region can affect women participation in building cultural capital and collaboration across the Mediterranean region?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Yeah, also thank you again for having me here. So yeah, sure. Actually, investing in economic development in the emerging economies of all the Mediterranean region can increase women's participation in building cultural capital and foster collaboration also across the region. We know that Mediterranean has long been a crossroad of diverse cultures, and in recent decades, the region has been experiencing rapid economic growth, particularly in countries such as Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, Lebanon, until the recent events, and Turkey, among others. And women's involvement in these processes can really be transformative, not just in terms of economic empowerment, but also in the creation of a more inclusive and collaborative cultural and economic landscape. There are different, I would say, paths and different impacts that women can have in cultural capital and regional collaboration. First of all, of course, I think we should talk about economic empowerment of women and cultural capital. We know that economic development initiatives such as entrepreneurship programs, education, skills training, and also access to finance can directly impact on women's ability to participate in economic and cultural activities. And particularly in emerging economies, women often face barriers in accessing education, credit, and formal employment. But as these barriers reduce, women gain greater opportunities to contribute to the creation of cultural capital in the region. And particularly in the Mediterranean's emerging economies, economic development can act as a catalyst for improving gender equality and also for promoting women's participation in both the economy and cultural life. We know that historically, Mediterranean countries such as Tunisia, Morocco, Egypt has faced gender disparities, which is also true for Italy as well. So in terms of economic opportunities, but there are some recent investments that are showing positive trends. So first of all, I think the topic here is economic participation of women and entrepreneurship. And we know that in Mediterranean countries, women are increasingly participating in sectors like, of course, art and crafts and fashion and tourism, as you said before, where cultural capital is directly tied to economic activity. And for example, women are becoming key players in the local tradition crafts and sustainable practice in Tunisia. And this in turn helps creating a distinctive cultural identity that is marked and recognized regionally and globally. At the same time, we need investments. So investments in key sectors are creating job opportunities for women in the Mediterranean. For example, in Tunisia, women's labor force participation has risen from 26% in 1990 to nearly 30% in 2020. And so similar trends are also being seen in Morocco and Egypt. We have some data according to the World Bank investment in renewable energy sector in Morocco, and we have some particular projects that are providing each of them over 300 women with jobs in traditionally male-dominated sectors and industries. And also, we have this UN report dated 2019 on gender and economic development in North Africa that highlight the access to human capital, but also to financial capital and education, particularly through the initiatives like microfinance and vocational training, has been instrumental in fostering female entrepreneurship, with women-owned business in Morocco increasing by 22% over the last decade. And then we have, once we analyzed the sector of economic participation, then we have, the topic of education and creation of knowledge. And we know that as women gain better access to education and training, they are also better equipped to contribute to fields such as, of course, literature, history, language preservation, and also visual arts, which are, I would say, the key to the region's cultural capital. So when women are educated and supported in their professional and creative endeavors, they bring new perspectives and innovative approaches to cultural preservation and development. Data, again, I'm an economist, so I use data a lot. And UNESCO in 2020 it reported that female enrollment in tertiary education in the Mediterranean has grown from 38% in 2000 to 47% in 2020, with significant growth in fields such as engineering, architecture, and business administration. Sorry, and also according to the European Union, and these are data, these are 2021 data, over 30% of cultural enterprises in the Mediterranean countries are now led by women, particularly in the sectors of visual arts, designs, and traditional crafts. And also this figure is rising as women benefit from increased funding for cultural initiatives, also through the EU programs such the Union for Mediterranean, which promotes regional cooperation. Of course, we need to facilitate the cross-border collaboration with regional networks and cooperation. Also, investing in women's economic development can create regional networks that can connect women across the Mediterranean, and also initiatives such as business association, cultural exchanges, digital platforms really empower women to share best practices, collaborate on several projects, and strengthen regional ties. This is, I think, deciding to foster economic growth, but starting by human capital of women, is one of the main ways for building inclusive and sustainable growth. We know that when we invest in women's economic participation, we're not just talking about individual empowerment, it's also contributing to a broader societal and cultural transformation. So if we ensure that women are part of the economic and cultural development process, we know that we are building a more inclusive and sustainable growth model. And this impacts both the cultural and the economic dimensions of the Mediterranean societies. Of course, we need inclusive policy designs. Of course, we need actions focused on cultural sustainability. We need to leverage diversity in many of the countries of the area. But investing in economic development in the Mediterranean's emerging economies really has the potential to enhance women's role in building cultural capital and also in facilitating collaboration, I guess, across the region. So if we empower women to contribute both to the economic and the cultural spheres, we are investing in not just economic growth, but also in promoting a more inclusive, diverse, and collaborative Mediterranean region.
Dr. Rinaldi, you have been involved in direct programs to help empower women in different geographies, especially in challenged geographies. So I want to ask you, what are the collaborative strategies that can be used across the Mediterranean region and then maybe cascade from one country to another to equip women of this particular geography to participate with the necessary skills and networks in order to participate in public policy.
Yes, we know that despite progress in recent years, women continue to be underrepresented in many of the Mediterranean countries, also in the decision-making process. So we have now several collaborative initiatives that can be adopted to, regionally, to equip women with these necessary skills and tools also to thrive in these roles. First of all, I think that we should strengthen education and capacity building for women. We know that according to the World Economic Forum's 2023 Global Gender Gap Report, the gender gap in education, for example, is largely closed along the Mediterranean. However, significant disparities remain in terms of access to advanced education and also to professional development opportunity, especially in countries affected, of course, by conflict or political instability. And we have a 2021 UNESCO report that highlights that women are still underrepresented in higher education disciplines such as engineering, politics, and economics. Within this field, the collaborative strategy could be focused on educational exchange programs, on scholarship, also on curricular reforms. We have programs like the Mediterranean Women's Fund that work to provide scholarship and training for women in the fields of political science, public administration, and law. Also helping to close the gender gap in these fields, which are traditionally male-dominated. And by collaborating with university and educational institutions across the region, countries can create a regional network that provides targeted educational opportunities for women. Second pillar could be promoting mentorship and leadership networks. Research from the International Labour Organization shows that mentorship and networking are crucial in helping women breaking the glass ceiling in leadership roles. And a study conducted in 2020 revealed that women in the Mediterranean region have a higher chance of career advancement when they have access to mentorship, with 62% of women in leadership roles having been mentored at some point in their careers. In this field, the collaborative strategy could be creating regional mentorship programs where experienced women leaders mentor can really help emerging the new talents. And platforms like the Mediterranean Women Leaders Network can serve a model for building collaborative mentorship initiative. And also, I think this initiative could include cross-border collaborations between NGOs, governmental agencies, international organizations, providing both formal and informal avenues for women to learn from one another and gain confidence to step into policymaking roles. Third pillar could be supporting legal and policy reforms for gender equality. The OECD Gender Policy Report in 2022 shows that Mediterranean countries, including those in Southern Europe and North Africa, have made strides in improving gender equality in the workplace and political representation. And however, despite these improvements, women are still vastly underrepresented in political leadership. For instance, the Inter-Parliamentarian Union reported that as of 2022, women hold only 19% of parliamentary seats in North Africa and 30% in Southern Europe, far below the global average of 26%. The collaborative strategy could be regional collaboration on policy advocacy and legal reforms. For example, the Union for Mediterranean and the Euro-Mediterranean Partnership can play a central role, I think, in pushing for gender quotas and policies that promote women's political participation. And initiatives such as the Gender Equality in Public Administration project has shown that when governments commit to gender-responsive policy reforms, women's participation in public life increases. Just a couple of more suggestions. First one is strengthening the women's economic empowerment and financial inclusion, which is crucial. The World Bank's 2022 Gender Equality Report highlights that women in the Mediterranean region face higher barrier to credit access and also to economic participation. So female labor force participation remains lower than that of men, especially in countries like Egypt, Morocco, and where the rate for women is under 25%, also in Italy is under 17%. And financial independence is a key driver for women's political empowerment, economic empowerment, as women with greater economic power and economic resources are also more likely to be involved in political making process. The collaborative strategy could be building economic empowerment programs for women across the Mediterranean. Initiatives like the MEDUP program in Tunisia, which provides financial literacy and business development trainings to women entrepreneurs, can be scaled also regionally. And the last one is enhancing digital skills and technology access. 2023 UN report, the UN Women report, shows that women in the Mediterranean region are significantly underrepresented in the digital economy. Women are less likely to have access to digital skills training, which limits their opportunity for leadership roles in the technology and policy sector. So, for instance, in southern Mediterranean countries, women make up only 22% of the tech force, with a significant gap in digital literacy rates between urban and rural women. So, in this case, the collaborative strategy, probably one of the most transformative regional strategies, could be focused on digital literacy and tech-focused leadership programs. For example, the Mediterranean Digital Skills Network that can partner with global tech companies, or also programs such as Girls in the ICT Day, or the programs by the International Telecommunication Union. They can help ensuring that women are equipped to take leadership roles in the digital transformation also of governance.
Working nationally and regionally is very important, and working synergically between international organizations and local authorities is also very important in order to promote and empower women to participate more, whether it's in the public sphere or in the cultural capital. I want to thank you for your contribution to the panel. We will be taking the same topics to Dr. Manal Abdsamad Najat to get actually the same experience and views, but from the other side of the Mediterranean. Thank you so much, Dr. Azzurra. So,
thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your contribution. So now I will